Hi guys, I am so excited for this week's episode. And I know I say that almost every week, but it's the truth. I am so excited for every single guest that I bring on. In particular this week, Madi Shaw. She was an incredible, lights out, impactful player at Fordham University, like D1 program, A10s, right, the whole thing. She brings such great perspective and knowledge and just an awesome conversation for today's episode. And I literally cannot wait for you guys to listen or watch it. Here's the thing, Madi and I, how I know her. She was my grad assistant when I played at Bentley University. So after her 4 years of Fordham, she went to do her 2 years of getting her master's, and she coached with us. And she also made such a tremendous impact on our team at Bentley as a coach. Now here's the thing, when I was editing, I had some mic issues, and Madi's mic was turned on. My mic didn't pick up any audio. I tried to film this intro before this take here, and it seems like I'm having a mic issue. It wasn't that I forgot to turn my mic on. It's just her mic was on, working fine. My mic was also on, just not working. So I'm going to have to get to the bottom of that. However, what does this mean for the actual episode? Well, you can still hear me, just not as loud or clear maybe as Madi's. So don't let this stop you from listening or watching the episode, because I still think it's such a valuable and great conversation that I don't want you guys to miss out on it. So I'm still uploading it. We're still going to post it. And all this means we're going to have Madi on for a second time. And, I'm sure that will happen in the future. Anyway, Stitchballers, I love you guys so much. Let me know how you like this episode and have fun watching. That's all.
I feel very famous.
Do you?
You should feel famous. This is fantastic.
No, I know. I feel like I got a legend on me.
That's gross. Get that out now.
man.
Yeah, get that.
Oh, God.
No, fake. Fake.
Not at all. All right. Well, Madi Shaw, welcome
Hi.
to 88 Stitches.
Hello.
Though, we're not at a place called 88 Stitches.
No.
Not at all.
Not even close.
Where are we?
We are in the lovely town of Rainham, Massachusetts, my hometown.
Home base.
Yes.
Literally home.
Quite
town.
literally, yeah.
I came up this weekend to Boston just to share with everyone at home. And Coach Madi, it's so strange calling you that right now because we're not on the field.
So sad.
So sad. But Madi was my grad assistant for 2 years at Bentley University, and you played at Fordham University.
Yeah, I did.
Division 1. Oh my God, we're going to get to that
Okay.
in just a minute. But I'm so happy and thrilled and excited, and I really mean that when I say it, to have you on this week's episode. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah, we were just catching up because it's been a little bit since we really have seen each other and caught up in general, but a lot has passed since we played loosely together, because I know you coach played together. But it's all just really exciting. We're going to reminisce a little bit and also hear more about your softball journey.
All right, let's do it.
Well, you're going to hate this. But I have some things just to better explain and share who Madi Shaw was on the field. So you went to Fordham University, played softball there, class of 2018.
Yep.
Okay, now.
This is me just making sure your facts are right. Yes, I did. Yep. What's next?
You can comment whenever you want, but I have some things written down as well. So, you were, in my mind, like, as I said, a legend, a beast, like, all compliments to you, because I remember when you came on to coach us, we were like, oh my God, who is this girl? She seems awesome. But instead of me describing you, I want to use some words that I read to truly emulate how you were on the field.
Okay.
Okay, exploded, smacked, launched, notched, belted. Perfect, drove in, took Rutgers deep, and ripped. Those are just some adjectives that explains your style of play, I guess.
Perfect is quite a compliment. Who wrote that? You know what? And I'm very good friends still with the old, he doesn't work there anymore, but with Fordham's SID at the time, I will be texting him after this and being like, that's crazy.
Cited on the Fordham softball website under your bio.
Ryan, if you're watching, I know you wrote that. Anyway, that's lovely. I love that.
Yes. Well, I was like, how do there's so many things that come to mind when I think of you, and I didn't obviously see you play, but those were great descriptors in terms of like what you produced on the field. I'm like, I'm pulling those in. I'm stealing them. So there we go. All right, let's take it back though. You accomplished a lot in high school, but how did you, even before that, how did you get started in softball? Like, where did the pull come through?
Yeah, so I actually played baseball first.
Okay.
I was a very big tomboy growing up, and I loved a lot of guy cousins, and my older cousins were into cheerleading, and that just wasn't at the time. That wasn't for me. Yeah, picture me cheerleading. Well, not for me.
Let me tell you, this is a shared experience.
Yeah.
My sister and myself did a year or two of cheerleading.
No way! Oh my gosh.
Like we all go through the ringer, but we learn quickly.
Listen, and I love it, and I have so much respect for that sport. It is just not for me. I was like, no, I need dirt and like to be dirty. Anyway, so yeah, I played t-ball and baseball. My uncle was the coach of my little league team. And my dad had gotten to talking just like at the field, and a friend of a friend was like, hey, like you should try out for softball. Like that's, for the girls, all this good stuff. My dad's like, yeah, he's like, no, screw it. Let's do it. So I'm like, okay, try out. And I just did town softball. I was about 7, I think at the time. Did a year of town softball, and they're like, oh, you got to get her into travel. Yeah. You got to do the travel softball league.
Right.
To this day, the only team I did not make was my town travel softball team. Wow. Rainham All-Stars, you're dead to me.
I know. Yeah. We're not like this anymore.
It's over. But that was the only and I remember there was another dad there, and he says to my dad, he's like, you got to get her to Taunton. You got to have her try out for the Taunton Dynamites.
Over?
Yes, just about a town over.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to get her over there. He's like, I know they're doing tryouts. Like, they're crazy for not taking Maddie. Like, she's going to be great. Like, bring her over there. So my dad took me over to the Taunton Dynamites. That was my first travel ball team. Yep. So lovely. And then that travel ball just kind of became my life. Like, I stopped playing the town. I still did middle school once we got to middle school. Obviously did high school. But travel ball came my whole life. I was with Taunton Dynamites until, when did I join the Drifters? I think till about like 6th or 7th grade. Yeah. And then I joined the Drifters, and it was crazy because I was a 7th, 8th grader on the 18 and under like showcase team. Yes, with Carol. That was so me and Carol. Yeah. Carol, if you're watching.
I mean, coming from Bentley, I knew of a Carol, but I not growing up in Massachusetts, I didn't know Carol.
Yeah.
I heard of the Mass Drifters. I knew the organization, very well respected, and that's awesome to be playing at such a high level.
Oh, it was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. I think 8th grade. I'm padding my stats. I'm like 7th grade. No, it was 8th grade. 8th grade, but yeah, I was playing with, girls that were actively looking to go to college that following fall, which is so crazy. Incredible. And then I played with them, and then I kind of realized my family and I had a big sit down, and we were like, listen, you've heard from a lot of people, you could do this and get paid for this essentially in college. Like, is that something you want to do? And it was really hard decision, but I was like, yes, this is 100% like what I want to do.
When did that happen? Like, at what age were you when you had to make the pivot to now start to really focus and dive in?
Freshman year, we were like talking, but it was sophomore year was the big change. Okay. And really realizing what level I could compete at, and like believing in myself enough that, okay, I could actually pursue this at the Division I level. Yeah. And that was one of the hardest conversations I ever had with Carol, to be like, and then so that was my sophomore summer was my last one with the Drifters. Yeah. And I had bigger aspirations and bigger dreams, and I wanted to go to a school that played those top 25. And at the time, just unfortunately, the Drifters weren't recruiting that kind of level. And so I was sobbing, telling Carol, because I loved her. Like, she was a huge part of the player that I became, and I hated having to be like, I'm leaving. But again, everything, there's a reason why things happen. And I also loved playing for Dave Lotti and Rhode Island Thunder. Like, my girls. No, I loved it. And he, sometimes if you're from Massachusetts, you might hear the rumors about, that's 4.5-hour practices and blah, blah, blah. My mom picked me up, and, she stayed for my first Rhode Island Thunder practice. Yeah. The whole 4.5 hours. And I got back in that car. She was like, I've never seen you smile like that. Really? Like, I was so fired up. I was like, this is it. I was like, these.
Like your people
exactly. Yeah. Yes. And again, no shade at all to the drifters and everything, they are a gigantic part of the type of player that I am. And I would still hear Carol's voice even in my head. But it just, like, unfortunately, there were some girls that were starting to split off and do their own thing. Nothing wrong with that. I got onto Lottie's team, and it was, every single girl is competing to play in a top 25 school. And it was such a, it was such an eye-opening experience because to not only be surrounded by that kind of 24/7, but then realize, I'm staying with these girls. Like, I actually am competing with them. Like, I'm at this level, which is banana land.
That's an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that.
You're
I
welcome.
actually did not know it at all.
Yeah.
That's thrilling, actually. And I think it kind of like puts into perspective for a lot of girls who might be at that same pivotal age. I remember my sister and myself, it was around that like freshman year, sophomore year timing where we were like, okay, is the team that we're on really serving us to get us to the next level once you make that decision?
Yeah.
And obviously for you, in hindsight, it made complete sense why you had to make the pivot you did. Yeah. But at the time, it felt like it was world erupting.
That counter right over there, we had the whole sit-down meeting, and we actually, it's a woman named Jen Mead. She actually is a professor over at Bridgewater State, but she played for the women's Olympic soccer team. And so she's a friend of a friend. She also came over, and we kind of laid out everything to her, and she said this. She was like, you can do this. Like, you can go and play at that level. Yeah. But, trying to warn me in the sense of, like, it is a commitment, and it's even more of a commitment. Once you commit to a school, it's like, now it's begun. Yeah,
like
you think you worked hard. Yeah, you think you worked hard to get that commitment. Yeah. Oh, honey, it is like just revved up the next level. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, then let's if you don't mind, dive into that.
Yeah.
So maybe up until like you were on the Master Drifters, was that like just your typical like went to practice, maybe did some like lessons on the side, like, and then what does now from the more local team to now this, for lack of a better word, regional team, what was that change like in terms of your development?
Yeah, it was just more hours on the field, honestly. I mean, same thing. It would be the once a week practice with the Drifters, but I'd still have a lesson or two with Carol during the week. And that's actually this is how I would tell you what a class act Carol is, because I still had lessons with her while I played with Thunder. So it was like, that just shows you how amazing of a woman she is and the relationship that we had. But then it was, okay, instead of a 2-hour practice, I was having 2 4-hour practices. Wow. There would be Tuesdays and Sundays when we were at a season. And then obviously we had some fall ball tournaments. So October and November we'd go away on some weekends and play that. But then that was quite the turnaround. You fly down to Disney for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you're missing school. You come back, you fly back Sunday night, and then you got Monday to recuperate, and then we were back on the field Tuesday night. And
that's in high school.
4 to 8 was the practice times on Tuesdays.
Before you realized that really prepped you for what the Division I softball schedule looks like.
100%. And I think that's a huge reason why Dave and everybody over there on Thunder does it that way, because it's like, that is, I mean, my college practices are 3.5, 4 hours long. Like, when you include, lift and conditioning and all this other.
Get into the field before
Coach
gets there.
Before
Coach gets there.
100%.
100%.
Yep.
And my last question on this, how long of a journey, transport did it take you when you did make the pivot to gold? Like, that's a state away in a way. So how?
Yeah, so the Rhode Island aspect of it, which is, it's pretty funny. We didn't actually go to Rhode Island as much as you'd think. That was more for the winter, because they had like this dome down near Providence.
Yes.
So we would play there when it was like real winter time, snow on the ground. But a lot of our outdoor like field practices were just at Plainville.
Oh, that's here, like in your backyard.
Yes, exactly. About 25 minutes away from here.
That's awesome. Okay, so I was thinking, like, I didn't know how big of a commitment it was for really your whole family.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, my mom and dad were definitely, dividing up driving time, stuff like that. But I played with kids from Connecticut and New York, and that would make those drives. I had one of my buddies right from around Mystic, Connecticut, and that's about a 2-hour drive. She'd be doing her AP homework on the drive to and down. I'm like, Wow. It's bananas. It's crazy.
Incredible. Okay. So, travel ball, we just covered a little bit. High school ball, I have some very small details compared to what I have in terms of college. But high school, you were a 2-time NFCA All-American at Bridgewater Raham High School and second team All-America senior year. And you won a state title?
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, dude, the state title was crazy.
Yeah.
So I caught the last out. And there is this hysterical picture. Google it. It is a very funny picture.
We're gonna put
Put it up.
Yeah.
It is so funny. I look like Jesus because so it was a line drive, like right at my face.
So
like it literally happened. It went bam, bam, and then I just went.
Yeah.
And I'm so dead serious. And then everyone like came over, and it was so funny looking at that picture now. I'm like, you would think that I'm like I don't even know what. Like the next coming. I'm like, this is so extra.
Yeah.
But it was one of those funny things where actually the game before, the playoff game before was so much more intense and closer of a game than the state title game. Sorry, holy name. I'm so sorry to do this to you. Because we smushed them like nine, nothing.
Okay.
I think we run ruled them.
Okay.
So that was, so it was so weird. There's, also from that high school game, one more story. In high school, I ended up batting leadoff because when I was in the 3-hole, they started just walking me. A ton.
My sister, literally same thing.
Yeah. So, and Carosa, my coach at the time, he goes, oh no, he's like, they're throwing to you. So he moved me up to leadoff. So I'm
you might as well
leadoff.
throw to me just so get me on.
So I faced the pitcher, and she's slower than the girl we just played in the last game. So of course I'm crazy ahead of the ball.
Yeah.
This outside pitch, which is normally my bread and butter, pew! I was so early. I like completely rolled my wrist. This it was a hard hit ball. It ricocheted off the the first baseman, ricocheted off her shin.
Yeah.
But I was booking it down first base so hard, and I dove head first into first.
Okay.
That was the first play of the game, and I remember standing up, and I looked to my buddy, Emily Kirkle, in the dugout, and she was like, we won. Like, she said it to me, like, because it was just, like, such an insane thing to do for your first play of the game. Yeah. And even my dad told me after, him and my Uncle Chris turned to each other, he's like, yeah, we got this. From the first...
Pitch, from the first hit.
From the first hit, I think... Yeah, exactly. And
that's awesome.
It was such a fun time. Yeah.
Wow.
We really lucked out, though, in high school with the girls that we had, because it was essentially another travel ball team. Everyone on my high school team played at some sort of travel ball otherwise. Yeah. And from the very beginning, we had state was the goal the entire season. There was never a doubt. Yeah. We were like, no, we're winning state. Yeah. Like, that was not even a question.
Do you think that mindset at the very start of your season really helped get you through some of the tougher games almost?
Oh,
like,
100%.
Never lost sight of that end goal?
Oh, correct. Yeah. Because it was like, we would debrief games kind of after we're on the bus, and we're like, listen, we got the, like, that's, that's that game, like, we've got state. Like, that was always
what a mindset
the goal. Yeah,
and
it was
just
nuts.
Not just one person on the team to have that mindset, but to have a collective group of we're all committed, we're all in. That you really can't beat that. And obviously you can't beat it because you won it.
It is a special thing to win a championship your senior year. It really is. I know some people might think of it as a cliche, but it is quite a feat. Yeah.
Even though for you it wasn't your last end-all be-all, for some girls it is.
For sure.
It's a great way to cap your season and cap off your career. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one last thing before we dive into some of your college stuff.
Sure.
Well, actually two. One, how would you best describe yourself, your softball your softball skill set growing up? Like, give me a strength or two, and give me a weakness of two. Like, what do you think was your bread and butter? Yeah. And what was something that you really just couldn't get past?
Oh, backhands are tricky.
Backhands. And what position
backhands.
were you when you said that?
So this is where it's so fun. Yeah, growing up, I was a catcher for a very long time, and then I kind of just floated around the infield. Like, I've had practices both in high school, travel, and college where they just put me at third and then rotate me around. Like, I'd take reps, at every position. Yeah. Second base was really hard. Shout out second basemen. Yeah. You are my heroes. Second basemen and outfielders. Yeah. So unsung. Yeah, it's crazy. Second base is a very hard position, and I remember Carol threw me out there one time. I was like, honey, that's this ain't gonna work. So fielding always was, but I think that's where I'll pivot into the strengths. Yeah. I was so gutsy, and so willing to put my whole body out on the line. Like, I was constantly diving around, constantly. I was I think part of it was because I knew I maybe wasn't as nimble and as quick as maybe middle infielders would be. Yeah. But time and again, I found myself back at shortstop because one, I would hold, like, I just would lay everything on the line. And I think another positive, I think I'm a pretty good vocal leader. I think, and which is, as you know, on the inside, like you have to be loud and you've got to be making sure everyone's tuned in on the plays. I think in that aspect of my game, I was very strong. And then, of course, hitting was my absolute number one. If I had to pick, me and hitting.
Two best friends.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
awesome. And then my very last thing before before college, obviously you made the pivot to go on Rhode Island Thunder. Did you really start to learn about the recruiting process when you were there, and that's when you dove into it? Or did you start doing some recruiting stuff when you were on the Drifters and then kind of relayed that recruiting efforts over when you changed teams?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love that and really think about it. No, for the Drifters, it definitely, and again, I guess in some aspects I was a little younger to be talking about it, but I was on, the showcase team for a couple of years at that point. And it was just like a couple emails here and there, like pretty sporadic. But yes, when transitioning into Thunder, it was mandatory. It was part of our practice that we had to come to practice with 20 schools, like confirmed that we had reached out to in that past week.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was such an eye-opening experience because for anyone watching out there who wants to get recruited, like seeing the same name pop up over and over and over again in that inbox, as a coach is such a game changer. It's like, oh yeah, this kid wants to be here and is engaged and shows interest. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, we'd have to show up to practice with proof, like literal receipts. Okay, I emailed, A through Z this week.
And I want that for anyone listening in or watching in. I want that to really resonate with you because that's how like my sister and I also got recruited. It was, those weekly emails to the 20 plus list, whatever deal is. You cannot have a list of 3 schools.
Correct.
You really need to have that broad reach because you never know what's going to happen in the end and where things are going to pan out on your end versus the coach's end. You never know. So that's awesome. So you really put in the work.
Oh yeah.
How did Fordham how did you get on Fordham's radar, or how did Fordham get on your radar?
Oh, I love this story. I love Fordham.
Let's hear it.
I love Fordham with my whole heart. So actually, back in the day, this was pre-Thunder. My coach, Bridget Orchard, shout out, that's my girl. And her dad was a huge fan of the game and helped, Bridget out along the way. And he would be that guy at the 6 p.m. games, on the Sunday, like the no-show games in terms of, recruiting, in terms of tournaments. It's like, no, everyone's going home with that guy, not Bob. Bob was there. So when I was on the Drifters, he had seen me. No sort of contact, but it was kind of like he just did like a little mental, oh, I like this kid. I like this girl, but she's too young. It was like 8th, 9th grade. Okay, I like this kid. You fast forward, I go down. And I just so happen we're in Disney, of all places. Me and Disney, tight. A lot of good things in my career happened at Disney, in high school and in college. So in high school, we're down at Disney, and I've seen, some college coaches there. Villanova was one, Fordham was one, St. John's was another one at the time. And I remember that because I'd send out, a couple of emails. And I wasn't interested in Fordham. I was not interested. Yeah. But because of, the school rule, exactly, you got to just throw some names out. And Lottie's like, oh, I love Bridget. Like, you just put the name on the list. I was like, all right, whatever. Yeah, like, so they just happened to be kind of like around on my field. And I hit this took that outside pitch, pew, right over left center. It was beautiful. For people who don't know, I'm a left-handed hitter. So that's going with that outside pitch was money. And immediately they all came up to Bob Rossi, who was my Thunder assistant coach, and they were like, yeah, give me that kid. I want that kid. And then I ended up taking a visit with them, and when I tell you I was so BS about it, I did not want to go. Didn't want to go. And Dave was like, you're going.
Suck it up, you're going.
He's like, it's good. Exactly. He's like, it's good for the program. Like, you got to do it. He's like, even if you're whatever. Because in my brain, I was really excited about Villanova.
Okay.
Same day, we did the Villanova and Fordham trip, and we did Villanova first, and I was the type of kid, which is hysterical. I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew what I didn't want.
Okay.
So it was like, I couldn't put a finger on like, oh, I want A, B, and C, but after I left to school, I'd be like, oh, I hated that. Like, I hated A, B, and C.
Yeah.
So I do the Villanova and everything, whatever they offer, whatever it is they offer, and we make our way. I get in the car, and I'm like, I hated that. My dad's
way.
like, yes. He was like, I hated that. I hated Villanova. And my dad's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
like,
what
did
exactly?
you? So apparently, I did not like bigger campuses.
Okay.
And to me, which is kind of crazy because, I mean, Villanova's decently big, but
Yeah.
not, when you think of the top 25, like those are big campuses. But still, to me, it was too big. And I actually think it's because Bridgewater State is right down the street.
Yeah.
And it's like just run-of-the-mill people can come in and out of that.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that.
Yeah,
Hated
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I was like, no, I want to go, like, when I go to school, like, I'm at school. Like, it's
Yes.
one campus, like, one
With all
center.
other, like, students,
Exactly.
yeah.
Like, everything's in one area.
Right.
So I didn't really do too much. Sorry, Fordham. Didn't do too much research
Yeah.
before this visit because I didn't want to
Well,
go.
I feel like that's totally okay to admit because sometimes
Yeah.
that's the case with some girls getting recruited.
Yeah.
The school shows interest. You like that. Okay. Oh, I have
Yeah.
interest. Okay. Well, let me
Yeah.
make sure I look good then in front
Yeah,
of them.
right.
But you don't put much thought into it after the fact until it really starts to be like, oh, it's a serious interest.
Yeah.
Like, let me do some, let me actually put some focus and thought in behind it. But okay, continue.
Oh yeah. So we're driving and I'm like, oh, I'm so miserable. I was like, I don't want to go here. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm done. Like this, I'm whatever. My dad's like, we have to go. We have to go. Dave said we have to go. I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
Dude, we pull into campus. So for those who don't know what Fordham's campus looks like, it's just, there's only really 2 points of entry that you can really drive into. And so you're driving in, you've got like the baseball field, football field on the right. You've got Keating, which is like our main building on the front. And then you've got like the parking garage on the left hand and you're driving in. I turn to my dad. I'm so serious. I go, I love it here. I was like, this is it. And he goes, you haven't even spoken to the coach yet.
Yeah.
He's like, you can't be saying stuff like, and I was like, no, that's why I'm telling you now in the car. I'm like, no, this is it.
Yeah.
I was like, no, this is what I'm talking about. I'm like, this is exactly the type of campus I'm looking for. So that's just the campus part of it.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I felt the same way with Bentley.
Isn't that hysterical?
Yeah, we drove around Brandeis first. It was at New England's Finest. We're
Yeah.
up in the area, so we're driving around
Yeah.
colleges.
Oh,
that I'm
New
writing
England's
to.
Finest.
New
Hey
England's
now.
Finest. And drive around Brandeis first, and I was like higher than Bentley at the time. And I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, I don't like it here. And
Yeah.
I felt so guilty even saying that.
Right.
Because I valued in my head higher than that. Then I get to Bentley.
Yeah.
Immediately I was like, yep,
Isn't
this
that,
is it.
it's so crazy.
crazy.
It is so crazy. And I remember telling that to my brother, my younger brother too, when he was starting to look at schools for football. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, I have no real advice. You just know. I'm like, that's really it. You just know. So anyway, so we walk up and we meet Bridget and she's just if anyone watching, if anyone knows Bridget Orchard, she is just so bubbly, like the perfect picture of like what a recruiting like coach is supposed to be. Like she's just so great, such great vibes.
Yeah.
And so I'm chit-chatting with her, whatever. We're still walking. And then Reese Mariconda was the hitting coach at that time. And I was wearing, so silly. I was wearing, if anyone knows the band, Mayday Parade bracelet, which is like a alt emo band, whatever. And she goes, you listen to Mayday? And I go, yeah, they're my favorite band. And she goes, I love Mayday Parade. And so now me and the hitting coach, which is hitting's my vibe. So me and the hitting coach are now vibing over music. I was like, I literally remember cheesing to my dad, and he's like shaking his head because he knows, he knows I'm falling in love. And then thank God when we finally did the sit down at the end of the big tour, and Bridget's like, so I'm gonna offer you a full ride. This is, A, B, and C. Like we play these big teams, like, and it prepares us. We've been on that at that time, so it would have been 2013 because I committed my junior year.
Okay.
Wait, I'm doing quick math.
2012
winter, because it was 2012 winter.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah. 2012. And at that time, they were on like the start of our heater of like the A10s. They had like where they've been in and out of them. They won in 2011, I believe 2000. It was 2010, 11, 12. They won 2 of those years, lost 1. But it was like they were on the streak, right? And Bridget's like, listen, I have this schedule because it makes us demolish the A10 teams. And I'm like, this is music to my ears. Yeah, because that's exactly what I was looking for. I'm like, I was like, because I don't know, maybe I'm putting myself down. I don't know. I don't know if I could have like really started, freshman year out the gate at a top 25. But Bridget's like, no, you can make an impact like immediately coming in here. And that was kind of what I was looking for. I'm like, I understand, of course, paying the dues and everything like that. But when you're hearing like, oh, you can make an impact from the jump, I was like, me?
Yeah.
Me? Yeah. And that kind of sealed the deal when she not only, I mean, of course, the money's always going to play a factor. Right. But it was the fact that I fell in love before the money was even mentioned. Like, this was already, I'm like, oh, I'm locked into this place. And then the money was just the icing on top.
Icing on top. Well, that is an incredible story, I'm not going to lie. And I mean, you lit up just talking about your entire experience there.
Yeah.
Like, I think, obviously, if it wasn't clear to everyone, like, you clearly you knew in your gut that was your place, that was your school, and you made that commitment, and then really set you up for success. I think, I didn't know you back then, but I think it's safe to say you went in to Fordham here, and you came out of Fordham here.
Oh, 100%.
You completely elevated your game.
For sure.
tenfold.
For sure.
And you made an impact. So,
Oh, here we go.
for those of you who want to know a little bit more about Maddie, I'm gonna we're gonna humble her. I just want to share some career stats. If you don't
I love
mind.
it. Sure.
Alrighty, so I did learn, as we said earlier, power-lefty.
Yep.
You also alluded to being bounced around the infield.
Oh, yeah.
Or position in general. I read somewhere that you played first, third, shortstop, right field.
Yeah.
Did I miss any other positions?
No, that's about it. Yeah, no. The right field, again, I already shouted out outfielders. I have to do it again. Dude, it is so hard.
Yeah, I played right field
right.
freshman year of high school. So
Dude,
not
yeah.
college,
No, but
high
it's
school.
like it's scary out there.
scary
You
out
guys are the best,
Yeah,
truly.
truly. Which position I know hitting's your strong suit, but like defensively, which one did you feel most at home with? Which one did you love the most? Give me some insight.
Third. 100% third. Yeah, hot corner. But like I mentioned earlier, it's like I knew my strengths, and I'm like, I know that I'm willing to just kind of throw my body. And third is like third and first too a little bit, but first is stressful with the bag and the you know how stressful first is.
Get a bad throw.
Right. So I'm like, give me my 11.75 inch glove. Let me throw my body around and throw the ball a little hard and get some outs. Like, that's what I wanted.
That was your mentality there.
Yeah, it was so great. I love third.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we played third. Well, we loved third the most. We played a little bit all around. You finished your career within the top 3 of the 3 triple slash categories. Okay, so what does this mean? You batted .342. Your on base percentage was a .449, which that's incredible. Honestly, I have some questions for you there. And then slugging .464. And finished third all time with 157 career RBIs. So you ranked in those runs. You did your job. You were 4th for 39 home runs. Incredible power. And 7th for 89 walks.
Yeah.
And again, I know you don't have to toot your own horn, but I am. So that's awesome.
There's some would say I might even hold the single season RBI record. Some would say that. Some would say that. That's my favorite stat to talk about. The RBIs is absolutely my favorite because it's so not just about me, because you can't get RBIs if no one's on base. It's like, no, a solo home run is fantastic. You want to get runs in wherever you can. But the fact that my 1 through 3 was getting on base for me and for me to be able to produce and bring them in, like that's why RBIs are the best.
10 times
Right.
better.
They make me look so good. Thanks, guys. Where's Lindsay? Lindsay's out there. Yep. Thank you. Yep.
You also, there was a funny stat I had in here that I think that you might laugh.
Oh, here we go.
You tied the school record for most times hit by pitch in a game.
Dude, yeah, I did.
Senior year.
Want to talk about that story?
Let's go
Do
for
we
it.
want to?
Yeah.
Oh, Dayton? We want to get into it? I hate you. Never go to Dayton, Ohio. It's banned. Yeah, that was a crazy game. So so Dayton is in the Atlantic 10, which is where the Fordham's conference. Big deal. Senior year. I had proven myself against Dayton pretty consistently. I had a knack for doing very well against Dayton specifically. And I'm not sure why. Like the year before, it was back-to-back. I got the winning hits in both of the games to take the series. So they knew obviously who I was and what pitches I liked and what pitches I didn't like. They decided to throw me inside, which, yes, that is my low in. If anyone were to throw to me now, low in is my worst. That is my toughest one.
Favorite.
Isn't it crazy? Yeah. 2 different types of power hitters, though. You know what I mean? Like some like me, like at the fat outside, and then some like you can really keep your hands in and freaking elevate that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But they knew your weakness.
Oh, they knew. They knew. But this was the funny thing at my Fordham team, my senior year. I was not the only lefty. We had, Maria was a lefty. Morgan wasn't playing at that time. We had 2 other lefties. So there was 4 lefties at the time, including myself. And yet somehow I was only getting hit, but the other 3 lefties weren't. It was pretty interesting. So the first one was, I think the first one ended up just being a walk, but it was very close, like just skimmed under my arm. So I was like, all right, whatever. I walked, whatever. Second at bat, third pitch, whop, right in the back leg. Okay. To preface, this game almost got canceled due to weather because it was so cold. So we barely made it over the feels good. It's 33 degrees out.
Get hit like that.
Yeah. 33 degrees. So that's a very important part of this story. It was freezing outside. We should not have played. The wind was whipping like crazy. It was bananas. So first one, whop, inside leg. All right, whatever. I go.
Yeah.
Next at bat. Same exact thing. Same thing. Same spot on my leg.
Like, is this gonna
Again, the third time. Now I'm getting a little dramatic. I throw my bat down and I like stare at them and I'm like, and then I walk and I walked. A real live walk, not a jog. I walked to first. Because now the girls are starting to get fired up because they know everyone with eyes at that game knew what they were doing, right? Yeah. Considering all my other fellow lefties, no one else got hit. I think I was the only person that got hit in that game. No, that's a lie. I think they might have hit Chelsea after she backed me up. That might be a lie. But I was the only lefty getting hit consistently. Yeah. So now fourth, and this was the best, is that I scored every single time that I was on. So it's like you're hitting me and I'm still getting like in. It was iconic. Yeah. Now the fourth time comes up and it was the first pitch. Same spot. I have a picture. We won't put it on there. It's disgusting. I'll show you later. Yeah. 2 huge welts right here because it was the same back leg because I had an open stance. Yeah. So and at this time, now I chuck my bat. I start walking towards the pitcher and I was like, are you done? Are you done? And now my coach, everyone in the dugout's freaking out. My Mima and my dad are in a brawl in the thing. My dad's trying to hold my poor grandmother back because now she's yelling at everybody. And shout out to Bridget again. I cannot shout her out enough. She is my favorite human being. Yeah. She's now screaming at the head coach because she's like, everyone knows what you're doing. Game goes, we beat them, losers. And so we go through the line. The coach won't even look me in the eye, right? I'm like, you're a brat. Like, what? Like, you're a grown woman. And you can't even look me in the eye.
Over.
Yeah. So we go back and we're waiting on the outfield. We're giggling. But Bridget confronts her, and she's like, what was that? Yeah. What was that? Yeah. And she goes, and she has the audacity to blame her pitcher. She goes, she can't hit that spot. And Bridget goes, that's funny because all the other lefties on my team didn't get hit one time, and Shaw gets hit 4 times. Yeah. Like that's crazy. Yeah. Well, 3 and a walk. The walk skipped me. Right. But yeah, crazy. Wow. I think my buddy Cindy Canessa is the other one with the most hit by pitches. Yeah. But going back to Thunder really quick with my walks. I know you said you wanted to talk about my OBP. Yes. A huge thing that we practice at Thunder is getting hit by a pitch. Okay. He's like, you're getting on base any means necessary. Okay. So we would have practices where we'd get hit by pitches like over and over and over again on purpose. And so that's a huge contributor to why my OBP is pretty big because I was just standing in that box. I'm like, it's coming right for my hip and I'm going to let it hit. Yep. I'm not moving.
You're like, I'm either getting hit or getting hit.
Oh yeah. And Dave would be like, if you're not leaning in, he's like, I'm going to be pissed. Ooh. So it's like we've had,
pressure on the pitcher to hit her spot.
Exactly. Yeah. Crowd the plate. And already because that's my sweet spot's the outside. So I'm crowding the plate regardless.
That makes sense. So you're crowding the plate. It's kind of a meatball.
It's so weird how that happens.
Tonight.
Yeah. It's so crazy how that happens like that. Wow. Yeah. So that's a huge proponent of why my OBP is as high as it was.
Do you also think you developed really great pitch selection that would have resulted in a great on-base percentage?
The pitch selection definitely came with time. It was like I didn't even realize that I liked the outside pitch as much as I did until I got to college. Like it's so silly. Like I feel like a fake player sometimes because I was like, I remember Reese had asked, she's like, "What's your favorite pitch?" And I was like, I don't know what you mean by that. She's like, so like on the plate, like where do you like it? I was like, the middle? Like I was like over the plate, like I don't know what you're asking me. So she was a huge proponent on pitch selection, and we would have like, you saw when we got to Bentley, charts on charts on charts on that pitch selection and really honing in on what your strengths and weaknesses are, and then looking for your strengths when you go up to play. It's so silly when you say it out loud. You know what I mean? It's like so obvious. Yeah.
And this is brutally honest here, like I never had, hitting never clicked for me, ever. Until you came junior year, and I wish you came a little bit sooner, because that's when I really started to turn things around.
It's so crazy.
It's so crazy, and
crazy.
am trying to. I feel like I adopted, because we called it zoning. I don't know if that's how it was described to you back at Fordham.
Same thing. Same thing. Yeah, what zone?
We adopted zoning my junior year when you started coaching with us, and completely changed my outlook on things. And now I'm like, I feel like it's like my goal of mine to teach that to the players. And I know that it doesn't work with every player.
For sure. Yeah, every player's different.
Every player's different. Yeah. But when I see it early, and now my students and my players, I'm like, I want to like get it earlier than when I got it. Yeah. I saw such success. Yeah. And it's really, like you said, what are your strengths? Yeah. And let's use those to our advantage.
Yeah, let's look for those strengths while we're at the plate. Like, let's already be 1-0 in our heads because we're looking for what we're looking for.
Wait,
for sure.
I want to go into that a bit more. So when you started to like really hone in your strengths, like what was that approach now stepping into the box? Like, what did you think going in?
Oh, the only thing in my brain was middle out, middle out, middle out. Like, that was the only thing. Either that or just, like, silence. You know what I mean? It was kind of one or the other, like, depending on. And, of course, as a hitter does, there's, you know, the ups and downs. And I remember times where I was like, keep my front shoulder in, make sure my back hip's going. And then as soon as you're thinking more than one thing, you're done. Yeah. You're done. You're done. So that's when I knew I was at my most confident, was when my inner monologue was middle out. Like, that's all I'm thinking of. That's all I'm looking for.
That's so funny, because my junior year, when you introduced zoning to the team, we charted a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You asked me the same question. You said, what's your strength? And I said, I love inside low. You're like, all right, you are only going to step into the box looking for inside low until you have 2 strikes on you. Even if a change of comes with less than 2 strikes, you're not swinging that because you're not zoning it. You're not expecting it. You're not ready for it. Let's hit your strengths. And I was like, okay, coach.
You're like, sure.
Okay, you got it. And it worked brilliantly for me. And then you're like, when you get 2 strikes, that's when we got to protect the ball, foul it off until you get another inside low pitch. And I said, you're so right, Coach Maddie. Why have I never thought of this?
That's so crazy.
It's such a crazy concept. You said you really started to feel like you were at your peak when you had that mind going outside, middle out. I think, can I be bold enough to say that came your junior year? Or
for sure, yeah.
I know your sophomore year you really capitalized. Yeah. But
100%. Yeah.
Junior year far outtakes a lot of it.
For sure.
Yeah. And that's when so it did take not a lot of time, because I think you're.
Oh, no, it took me, before the zoning, Reese and I, we completely kind of broke my swing down from the ground up, just because, and it is so crazy. I never really realized how strong I was. Yeah. And even Carol, shout out Carol, always, because she was like, you're so arms, like, you're so strong. Like, that I was hitting home runs in high school against these slow pitchers because my upper body strength, but I was so ahead of the ball. Right. And especially at the higher level, when the ball's going, 65 miles an hour at you, like, you need to use your lower body. So we really broke my swing down from the ground up, quite literally, the ground up, from the way my stance was, really focusing on my hip movement. And then once we so that took a full year. Yeah. I would actually argue a year and a half. Yeah. I got hurt a couple times my freshman year. And just mentally I wasn't there. Freshman year, by far, I don't even recognize that person, because I'm like, that mentality was so low.
Was it just because everything was so like new to you, and you were trying to get that transition from like high school travel to now college D1? Like, was it because of that?
It was a lot. School wise, I wasn't doing so great. Okay. So that always plays a factor. I didn't love the major I was in at the time, so that was always like a looming presence. And then completely breaking down your swing. So a swing I'd been doing for the past 12 years, now that's being kind of taken away from me. But again, I wanted it, because she's like, if we do this, she's like, you're going to be so much more powerful than you are now. So she's like, imagine that. Like the things you can do now, she's like, this is going to reset. This is going to make you better. And I was like, yeah, no shit. I'm going to make it. Yeah, I want, that's what I want. Yeah, I want to make it better.
Yeah.
I was trying.
Yeah.
I was trying to buy in.
You had a lot of external factors playing against you.
Yeah, I got hurt twice.
Yeah.
I got hurt my first, because I was actually doing well that first weekend. I had a couple hits. I don't think I was 500 on the weekend, but a little low.
Yeah.
And I felt good, and then I pulled my hamstring running down first base, and then rehab that a couple weeks, and then they put me back. Yeah. So I was continuously getting chances that I think in the moment I didn't realize was happening, because when you inevitably get benched, you're like, oh, like they didn't do enough. And then I'm like, you take the step back, and I've thought about it a lot. I'm like, oh no, they actually gave me quite a few chances, arguably more than they would probably give that they were giving other girls on the team. They kept going back to me time and time again. And I just and then the next game I was at, this were first, I got sliced on my ankle because of the girl. Yeah, that took me out for another week. So by that time I was like, my body was pissed at me. My swing still didn't feel like my own. I felt very disjointed. And now I'm going up to the box, and now I'm gripping the bat, white knuckling that bat and being like, oh my God, I'm like, just get a hit, just get a hit, just get a hit. And that's also not the best mentality to have either, because you're so strung out and you're so stressed up at that plate. So I was just K. And, eventually, rightfully, in that time, because, about halfway through the season, you kind of lock in your 9, your 10, you lock them in, and I wasn't in that 9 or 10. But it's that's, I'm a first grade teacher. That's a logical consequence. They gave me multiple opportunities to try to produce for the team, and I, unfortunately, didn't show up.
Yeah. And I think that's, I think that really is a powerful story. I think you're sharing only because knowing a lot of girls that come through Nitro that are now in college, whatever level they're at, it's a big, not slap in the face, but it's a big change to your travel ball days to college, because you might not get every single game as your chance to prove yourself, or chance to show what you could do. You might get games here and there, and it's dropped in, or even a few innings here and there, and it's dropped in, and now you got to also ride that wave of am I in the starting 9? No, I'm not. Okay, okay, all right, let me stay on the bench, try my best to be in the game. Now all of a sudden I get pulled in 6th inning to try to get hit, and because that's what the team needs me to do, and now you have to get your mind now back in order. It's an emotional roller coaster you probably were on. This sport is crazy, where you fail 7 out of 10 times and you're one of the greats. You fail 6 out of 10 times, you're one of the leaders of the world if you fail 6 out of 10 times. You literally sound like my dad. He says that verbatim. So that's the name of the game. So there was a lot of factors for sure, but going back into the zoning. So once it took about a year and a half to really rehold my swing physically. And then once that was kind of underway, that was, sophomore year is when we really started on zoning and getting into that. And then because I had my opportunity again in Disney, the same exact field that I hit that home run where they saw. I was still on that fence of am I going to break through the lineup? Am I going to break through? And this is where that change of mentality comes in too. So they were like, all right, Shaw, you're up. And again, they'd give me a chance earlier in the week. Biffed it. Right. I go, Shocker. Right. Typical, biffed it. Yeah, but it was a hit, you know what I mean? It wasn't a K, it was, I put it in play. Yeah, right. And so they put me out, and I was like, this is real. I was like, this is my last shot. But the mentality of get a hit, I really was I'd seen it all at that point. I'm like, okay, I've made it through being benched, and I'm like, I did what I could. I was the loudest person on that bench. You just have to do the most with what you're given. Yeah. So I was like, I've seen the worst. I'm like, literally, it cannot get any worse. What are they gonna do? Just put me on the bench again? Okay, I know what that feels like. So I remember just going up, and I was like, whatever happens. And it was a completely different, and then it was quiet. I was saying, I was like, there was just nothing in there. Yeah. I literally was just you just went out to play. Yep, just went out to play, lined up, and I remember I hit a line drive over the shortstop's head, and that was the solidifying hit for me on the exact same field where I hit that home. Oh, it was crazy because I didn't even I didn't realize it was the same field until my dad afterward. He's like, "Do you know what field that just was?" Yeah, that was a big deal. So then
that kind of solidified my spot in the lineup.
Nice.
Sophomore year.
Yeah.
Started to feel the groove. And then junior year was when it was really all mental. And it was like, no, let's hone in on this zoning. Let's really work on this to be the best you can be.
Do anything at practice?
Oh, we love practice.
You for that 9-shift change for the games, and that's when you really started to see the success?
Oh, yeah. Well, we did those, the zoning charts we do. We did them every practice. Yeah. And, there were certain T drills that I would do that, were working on my load and making sure you're moving that ball in all different spots on the plate while you're doing those drills. Yeah. Fordham, we love doing a lot of live hitting, lots of live. I mean, we're lucky to do that because we had like 4 pitchers, on deck. So you're able to see a couple of different arms in real time and be able, but we played. Real time is key. Yeah. We did a lot of, like simulated, what's the word I'm looking for? Simulated. Situations and counts. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So you'd pick the count card. All right, 2 and 1. I'm going up.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Memory from way back. We had the same thing.
Let's do it. I know it's
That's
you take what you learn and you bring it back.
You get a count.
Yep.
Maybe if you want to go another step further, get a count in a situation.
Oh yeah.
1 and 2, runner on third base.
All right, here we go.
Step into your cage at practice.
Locked and loaded. Yep. Yeah. Locked and loaded.
Wow. I forgot we did those.
Oh yeah. And I loved them because it put me. Hot take. Love a 2-strike count. Okay. Love it.
Why? Tell me.
Because it kind of takes. So for some people, it might be like, oh my God, the pressure is on. Yeah. For me, I was like, I just got to get a hit. I was like, now I got a hit. So it's like,
now or never.
Yeah, right. It's now, and I'm like, all right, here, let's go. Because I'm like, it's now me versus you. I'm winning.
Oh,
I'm like, I'm winning. Yes. So okay, you want to go? You want to throw me a 2-strike? Bring it. I'm ready.
Instead of it's now or never.
Yeah.
Am I going to get a hit? It's now or never. No.
I'm coming. Yep. Oh, 2 strikes. Ooh, upset. No. Nah. Love a 2-strike.
Do you to the plate, like eyeing down your pitcher, or were you
I had such an obnoxious plate appearance. And that also altered a lot because play good, feel good, and like, all right, what's the routine? What's the superstition of the year? Like, what am I gonna? So it would, and if I'm like, I'm in a slump, I gotta change up my little box dance.
Yeah.
I had by senior year, I kind of perfected it. I'm like, oh no, this is the one. It's so annoying.
Yeah. You're like looking back on it.
Looking at film of myself, I'm like, boo. Like, you're so obnoxious. But it made me think, I was like, oh, I'm the best person on this field. Like, that's what I was thinking when I was doing my whole little, so I'd like, I think I did it for you guys back in the day, but I would hit, I would hit like the outside of my right, the inside of my left, but I would go so fast and then like bring it around. And then I do a 1, 2, 3 tap. And then the whole time I'm just moving my bat while she's like still getting set up in the
getting the count,
still like doing like a little 1, 2.
I don't know if I ever took a video of it at Bentley, but if you
I do. No, I do. I actually
if you don't mind us sharing.
No, I don't mind at all. I actually have it. There was a memory when we played Alabama, and
playing Alabama. Can I tell you guys? Maddie played number 13 Alabama
at the time. Yeah.
At the time. Mm-hmm. This was your senior year.
Yeah.
And you went a combined 4 for 7 in 2 games. First going 3 for 4.
Yep.
With a pair of singles, a double, and an RBI, then smacked a 2-run home run in the first inning to put the Rams, Fordham, up against the Alabama Tide.
Shout out. Roll Tide. You guys are great. You guys are sick.
When I read that, I literally texted my dad and my sister, and I was like, sheesh! That's incredible.
It was great. Yeah. And that memory just popped up in a family friend of mine. She sent it to me because she was watching it back home and she videoed it for me. She videoed the home run. But let me tell you, first thing I saw was, I was like, that was an awful hit.
Okay.
Awful hit in the sense of like my body language.
Right.
Dude, it was a 2-strike count. It was 1, 2, and I literally I took my entire lower body out of it, and it was literally just it was just like a defensive swing, like you can totally see it in my demeanor, defensive swing, and I ripped it over center field. I was like, this is crazy. That I still was able to do that, and it was it was a 1, 2 count.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even go to show you, like, again, The less we think, we're not overthinking, we're just reacting, we're letting our muscles take over.
Yes.
And just letting our bodies play the game we know how to play. We've been training so long for all of these games.
Yeah.
Stop overthinking it. Oh my God. Wow, incredible. So many things to share. Okay, you go into a D1 program.
Yeah.
Everyone on the team has I'm assuming has the same mentality of D1. Let's go to work. Did you feel that at practices, either on the field, in the weight room, did that feeling come through like across the board for the team, if that makes sense?
Oh yeah, so that state mentality senior year,
Yes.
that was every single year for them. Like every single year at the beginning when we have, our first team meeting as a whole group, we would get like papers or the booklets for that year. And at top it would say A10 champions, whatever the following year was. Because we were like, that's the goal.
Endgame, yeah.
And eventually it ended up being I'm so bitter about junior year. Okay. I wish we went farther than we did junior year. It is what it is. But that year specifically, the goal was super regionals because we were like, okay, we've done this. Like it got like, and I loved it because we got kind of cocky. But it's like when you've got the resume to back it up, I mean, what are you going to do?
I don't mind cockiness. I just don't be rude about it.
Yeah, don't be rude
play
about
with
it.
That confidence.
Oh,
if you can also back it up, like you said. So obviously you guys were.
So it got to the point by junior year, it was like it was literally a been there, done that. We're like, what can we do differently to get to supers? Like that ended up being the end goal. Because we, at that point, the beginning of junior year, we're like, well, we won A10.
Okay.
Like we already were like, we won that. Like, so what do we need to do differently to get past regional? So the closest we ever got to going to supers was actually, ironically, my freshman year.
Yeah.
So I was right on the side.
So
No, but it was, I had a blast, cheering my teammates on. Michelle Dobman, if you're watching, maybe I'll send this to her. She was our pitcher at that time. She was lights out. She crushed it. We ended up kicking out JMU. That was the host of that regional, and we beat them. We beat JMU, and we got to the final game, and it was against NC State. And Rachel Gillen, who I adore, she also lights out, and it was literally locked 0-0, and then. It is what it is. They get the walk, walk off dinger. Yeah. And it was like, and I know Rach, if I would ever send this to her, she's like, shut up. But no, like she's like, I still think about that all the time. And I'm like, dude, you pitched lights out. Like you were phenomenal. Yeah. Everyone was that game. It was so crazy. But that was the closest we'd ever gotten to a super. So we just did regional.
Well, I was going to ask, how many times did Fordham make it to NCAA tournament play? And then you're saying, you said junior year, it's when it got cut a little bit shorter than you hoped. But furthest you went junior, or you went furthest freshman year?
Furthest was freshman year. Okay. Because it was that final game, like, winner is to the supers.
But all
Fordham,
4 years?
Oh yeah, we won when I was there, the A10, we won all 4 years. Yeah. Incredible. So that was pretty amazing. Epic. So the regionals I went to, we did JMU was my freshman year, Oregon, which was I loved Oregon. That was I think it was the first regional played at that new stadium at the time. Cool. Yes. Yeah. That was really great. Yeah. So Oregon was that year. Utah was my junior year. Fucking Utah. And LSU my senior year.
Wow. I know this might be a little tough to even like pick a few out, but do you have any like really iconic, memorable memories in the back of your head of like your time at Fordham that you would want to share?
Of course. I mean, God, I miss it every day. I miss it every day. A10s senior year was incredibly special because it was at Fordham. So it was like, and I had so many like family and friends come to watch. Yeah. And that was a crazy game. And UMass is a huge rival for us even to this day. Yeah. And that was a throwback. I went to a camp for UMass and they didn't want me. Again, listen, I don't know. It's
everything
fine.
Works out the way you should.
Everything works out. Yep. All right. You didn't want me. You and that. Like, the coach was like, no, this kid didn't make her Rainham All-Stars team. She stinks. I'm not taking this kid. So the senior year A10s will forever, ever be a very special moment for me. I remember the last hit was to left field, Deanna. We call her Deontay. Yeah. Deontay, if you're watching. She's the queen. That's why we call her that. She's the queen. But I was playing short for that game. Yeah. And it was like I did the worst thing you can do as shortstop. I just followed this ball. I knew I wasn't catching it, but I was like, I could taste this was the end of the game. And it was a hard hit ball. Like, this was not an easy, it wasn't like a bloop. It was, she had to like pivot and run. And she tracked this ball down and she caught it like right at the, like one of those. I'm literally 3 steps behind her because I was just like, because it was like, I knew.
You didn't know what to do, but you're like, ah!
I knew in my bones, I'm like, she's catching it. And she caught that ball and then we all like dogpiled on her in the left field. Oh, that was so funny.
That would hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like living vicariously through that right here, but that's incredible.
That one was really special. George Mason, A10s. We played something crazy, like 17 innings in 2 games. Like, I think both games went into extras. One was 9, one was 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And we had this, I mean, even sophomore year, all my best memories, I feel like, were A10 tournaments because sophomore year was crazy due to like rainouts and things. And we played 4 games in one day because this is the thing about Fordham and what made every team I was on there so special was we always found a way to be the underdog. Even with our pedigree and stuff, like we always played our best when we were like knocked down one. Really? We always played our best. So that was like, I think sophomore year, the one at George Washington, that was where we played A10s. And we were first. Like we had, the first bye, like we were ranked first in the A10, and we ended up losing. Like we got knocked into the losers bracket, so we had to claw our way back up. Ooh, that makes
it even sweeter.
And it's right, and it was so crazy. I think we did that every year. Maybe actually, no, freshman year we were 3rd seed, but we stayed, I think, in the winners bracket the whole time. But we were 3 seed, so people are like, oh, they're not winning. Yeah. We won being the 3 seed. It was like the three-peat for the players that had been there. The seniors, it was their 3rd in a row. Oh, yeah, so they must have won. Yeah, 12, 13, 14. Yes. There we go. Answers my question from before. That was a special one. Yeah. Sophomore year, we were ranked first and then had to claw our way out of the losers bracket. George Mason, I can't remember. I don't know why I'm blanking on what we were ranked and stuff, but same sort of thing. It was because we must have lost because we had to play the 2 to win. Yeah. It was 2 to win, and then I think it was my senior year. We actually were. I was like, oh, we can just win this game and like be. Because we're just so used to like losing in the terms of like knocking ourselves down. But we always, for a team that was as cocky as we were and how confident we were in our ability and like, oh, we already won like A10s. We always had to find a way to fight for it. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
And to even have like that trust and that unity as a team to like get through something like that. Well, obviously multiple times. It sounds like that's incredible.
Yeah. And every team was different. Like it was, even though a lot of them, like I was pretty close with a couple of the girls above me because we played the most, and the girls right below. It's always like your sandwich, right? Whoever the year older and the year younger you find yourself like closest to. Yes. And every year, like we had to adjust even our mindsets a little bit just to fit with the new girls. So even though the goal was always, A10s, regionals, super regionals, every year was the way that was presented was different. Like that was what made junior year so different was we came out crazy hot in the preseason where normally we're kind of used to like getting our asses handed to us and then we kind of like we would steal a win here or there, but then we'd steamroll into A10. And that was funny with junior year as we were crushing the preseason, like doing so well. So that's what killed us and then we kind of were like, it was weird. It was like reverse. And then we were almost like so-so, like in A10s. But and we were so hard on ourselves junior year. And I think that ended up being a big part of our detriment because we'd like win a game and we still wouldn't be satisfied. Okay. You know what I mean? And it's like you can only, thinking about it now, I'm like kind of realizing now, it's like you can only do that so often. And it's like you have to take the win. It's a win, man. Yeah. Like take the win. Like why are we? We were almost overly critical junior year. And I think that was a huge detriment to when it came to showtime. Yeah. It was like we were just so hard. And we had a lot of players because, like you said, when you're surrounded by all of that like winning mentality of like you do all have the same goal. But we were also so hard on ourselves. So it was like I'd go 1 for 3 and I'm like, oh, but I didn't do this for like the second at bat and the third. And it's like, dude, but you You got 1 for 3. Again,
successful,
that's a
yeah.
success. You're batting 333 on the
Yeah.
day. Like, that's a success. So
Yeah.
that was a huge downfall, was how overcritical we were.
That's so interesting though. So like I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You shared it because a lot of times you don't like. I don't think we hear that often. Like to just be so critical on either yourself or as a team, being so like, what do we need to do better next time? Even though we got the win,
Right.
Clearly you guys just weren't satisfied. You were still very hungry.
Yeah.
To get even further and further and further.
We would do like laps, so you probably remember QABs or quality at bats. I'd be saying that, but we'd sweep a weekend, and we'd sweep 5 games. Like we'd win all 5 in our preseason. We're still running laps for like missed quality at bats. So it was that kind of So it was that intense. So it's I don't know. It's like was that helpful? Did that play a part in our downfall? I don't know. Our downfall, even though we still won A10s and everything. But
everything you guys did. Do you think that is a shared mentality with a lot of other D1 programs out there? I mean, not that you can really say definitively, but you obviously played at that level with other teams. Coming from a D2 perspective, I feel like yes, it is like it's a team mentality at the D1 level. That's how you guys work. That's how you all come together. And I'm sure you saw that a lot when you coached at the D2 level, like that difference in gameplay, the speed, the intensity, the power. How they really put things into perspective.
Yeah, but I loved coaching you guys though. You know what I mean? I did. I really did. And funny enough, I did coach at the D1 level for a year, and I realized it was not for me.
Really?
Oh yeah. I know. We haven't even gotten into job.
One last question on
Remember when we were like, who needs a 2-hour podcast?
I know. I love everything about this.
This
so
is
far.
great. No, this is lovely.
All right, my last question for you, honestly, how intense is like the D1 like practices, the schedules? Like obviously you guys travel so often.
Oh yeah.
It's like might be like softball over school sometimes. It might feel like, right?
Which truly, I think which is terrible to say. Stay in school. Yeah. Terrible to say. No, but that was a huge like softball for sure came first for like majority of the girls on the team by far. Even though Fordham's a lovely, a great academic school.
And do you think maybe like, obviously you alluded to freshman year, it was challenging with the academics.
Oh,
do you think that played a big part in it? Like just trying to be able to manage the expectation of I need to be at softball X amount of times, X amount of hours a week versus I also have to be a student here.
Yeah. It was quite a thing. I also picked a very hard major. I was a bio major originally, which was, exactly. Yeah. No, and I think it was just more of a personal thing. Like, truly, I didn't really know how to study. Yeah. Like, I got good grades in high school, but I would glance over everything the night before. Like, I never really studied for anything in high school. Oh, yeah, literally. So that, and me and my best friend, Morgan, we were the 2 freshmen on the team, roommates, freshman year. She was also a bio major. To put in perspective, she now literally has her PhD in physical therapy.
That's incredible.
And I'm a first grade teacher. And but she she would be whipping the flashcards like for a test that we had later that week, and I'd be watching Gossip Girl. Because she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like,
"What am I doing?"
"Yeah." She's like, "Dude, the test is on Friday." I'm like, "Yeah, exactly. It's Monday." Yeah. I'm like, "I'll look at it on Thursday." Now look what happened. Yeah. Okay.
So clearly,
like
school kids.
So that was definitely a huge part of it. Yeah, the lift and conditioning and practice, but I mean, that's a huge. Again, I mentioned it before, that's a huge part of why Lotti does the things he does, because when you put all of that together, because I did have a full day of school on Tuesday, and I'd get in my car and I would drive to travel softball practice for 3.5, 4 hours, and then I'd drive home. So I was kind of, so when you include it, because I mean, our practices were only about 2 hours, but we had lift and conditioning, put it all together. It's about 4 hours of your day, and then we'd be running. Oh God, because we didn't have a locker room in the fall. Oh yeah, this was before they did these big renovations. We shared a locker room with women's soccer, so they had the locker room in the fall. Yeah, that was like Bentley, in winter. Yes,
we shared with volleyball, was it, or soccer? I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, so you should. Yeah, so I would have a 2:30 class practice. Yes. ends at 2, it's 2:20.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I'm sprinting to class, like still in my clothes, and as we've mentioned, I'm disgusting after a
gross,
practice. Like
sweaty, dirty, smelly.
it's
I have to
terrible.
Go sit next to Cindy over here at
Yeah.
class, trying to. Sorry, that's on
Don't
me.
smell me. Don't smell me. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm sitting in like the back corner.
I have the same memories.
Yeah.
Same memories.
So yeah, I was a little in the softball aspect of it, and like the time management part. That was kind of okay. It just so happened, like like what I said before, I just didn't really know how to study. Yes, it was just that in particular was just not for me, man. Oh my God. But it really, like, they give you all the tools you need. Like, we had strict study hours that we had to reach every week. There's tutors, available for you.
Yeah.
In
so
the student
resources
centers
were
and stuff.
there.
Oh, 100%.
Just
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to figure out, one, like, the time of everything, and two, like, actually putting the hours in.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a learning curve. But everything else that when you get to college is the same thing.
Yeah. And that's why it's like, I think some kids get freaked out, but it's like, it is where a little bit of the self-discipline, it's like, no, if you want it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Like, if you want it, you can do it. If you let yourself get psyched out about it, then yeah, it's going to feel overwhelming. But if you're like, okay, and then as you get older too, so it's like each year gets easier because your course load gets a little bit lighter. You strategically learn like kind of when to schedule classes that work for you. Like I had teammates who loved at 8 a.m. And then I had teammates who loved, the 3-hour night classes.
Yeah.
So it's, you find out what works for you. Freshman year for sure is the hardest. But yeah, you just learn about, you learn about yourself. You learn what classes are meant for you and what times of the day they're meant for you. And
you'll get
you
over
make
the
it.
hump.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Like I loved 6 a.m. lift. Like to me,
Yeah.
that was so worth it to me to do like 6, because we do 6 to 7 a.m. lift.
Yes.
I'd get to go back to my dorm, nap, till about my 8:30 class.
Okay.
Go to class. That's 8:30 to like 11. Then 11:30 we'd have conditioning from 11:30 to about 1.
Yeah.
Or 11. Maybe to 11. Maybe 11 to 12. That's what it is. Yeah. I'd have class 8:30 to 11. 11 to 12 like conditioning, and then 12 to 2 was practice.
Yeah. That sounds pretty good on with.
And then and then I liked kind of like the afternoon ones too, even though I go all smelly. But the 2:30 to 4 class was the dream for me.
Class.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like, just got a quick tidbit into like what a schedule might even look like at Fordham University.
Go Rams.
Yeah, go Rams. Okay, great. We covered a lot on your college.
Yeah.
That was incredible. I love just reminiscing with you. So thank you for sharing all those
This
memories.
is so fun.
So
Oh my
much
God.
fun.
I'm going to cry.
All right, so we graduate from undergrad.
Yep.
Did you know right away you wanted to go to get your master's or to go to grad school?
I thought, so this is kind of funny. Where I mentioned earlier that, many of my teammates, including myself, we put softball first. And that's great when you get your 4 rings and you're taking all these pictures and, you're hanging out at the field all the time. I was very lost in what I wanted to do after softball, because I was like, this is after school, I just said it now, after softball. Wasn't even after school. It was after softball.
No,
I'm like,
but
what am I going to do?
Go through that.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
crazy.
Every student athlete, not even softball related, goes through that.
For sure. Yeah. It's like, what am I going to do after the sport? And I wasn't confident in what I could do off the field. Like I was so confident that, because I'm so familiar with, like I know who I am, like when I'm in these chalk lines, like I don't think I can leave it. So coaching was always on like the precipice. I did a year, I helped the Drifters out and I coached their like already committed girls, which was really fun because it was more like babysitting. Like I wasn't just,
they really run themselves.
Yeah, right. I was just chaperoning at third.
Third, yeah.
And then like making a lineup.
That's
and
how
that
I
was
feel.
it.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys don't need me. Like this is, but again, it was kind of like this, like they'd just pick my brain about college stuff. So that's where I think I helped them.
A great resource for them.
Yeah. But I liked it. I've always liked, teams, obviously. So I was like, I'm not ready to give up like the diamond yet. So I'm like, okay, I guess my master's. And so my thought process behind that was like all Division I head coaches have a master's degree.
Oh, okay.
Like that's, so it's like I was like, all right. And you get the chance, it's like you're a grad assistant coach. Like you get 2 years of experience to figure out, what you're doing. So so I was like, all right, I got to be a grad assistant. But then this is where Carol comes in. She's like, hey, my buddy Terry over at Bentley.
I was going to ask, how did Bentley come into
she reached out. Carol reached out to me because she's like, I know you're, picking your head around. And
Yeah.
she goes, my buddy Terry, she's like, it's D2. I know it'll be a little different speed for you. She goes, but it's a phenomenal school. She's like, Terry's great. And I think you would really excel there. So I was like, all right.
And make an impact, I could say.
Yep. So then, Terry and I got into communication, and I remember I had to take, God, what was the stupid? Was it GMAT? Yeah.
GMAT.
So I had to take that, and to put in perspective, at Fordham, I got, at the time, this was when the SATs were at a 2400.
Yeah.
I got a 1650.
Yeah.
Minimum at Fordham was 1800, but because, the softball team had some pull and we'd been winning and the politics, Bridget's like 1650 is fine. So I was like, oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And I did fine academically. And so I was like, oh yeah, perfect. So I thought I would get the same sort of thing at Bentley. I was like, I think I missed the reading, I was fine. And I think I missed the math by like 2 or 3 points. I'm telling you, it was minuscule. So I was like, I only missed it. And Terry goes, you got to take it again. And I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
And I was like, there's no, and because I was the first for softball. I was the first grad assistant that they'd ever had.
Never had Addie before.
Yeah. And so she's like, girl, I got no pull. She's like, because she's like, you have to do it like their way. Yeah. And I was like, damn it. Yeah, do it. I was like, what do you mean there's no pull? So I was more pissed I had to spend the 200 extra bucks just to take the stupid test again. Anyway, but I made it. I made it in. I was able to.
She made it in.
Oh, talk about that first semester. Holy crap. Talk about a transition. I think it was harder coaching and being a student than it was playing and being a student by far.
Why so? Why do you think that?
Oh my God, I was just so mentally drained by the end of the day. Yeah. And and again, this is where like the school part of it comes in. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I'm like, now I'm in one of the most prestigious business schools in this in this country. And I'm like, I don't even really like business. I was like, but I'm doing it. I'm like, I guess I'll do it. I guess I'll do it. I was in the leadership program. That was the track I was on, the leadership track. I was like, yeah, I'm a leader.
That's great skill.
I've been a captain. This is great. Yeah. And that was, oh my God, this kitchen table, sobbing every night over my homework because I was just so exhausted. I'm like, I don't even like statistics. I'm like, this is so stupid.
Girl,
I'm like, what am I?
I've thought about back in the day when I was graduating, like, oh, man, I could maybe get a master's, and I was like, it's a lot. Well, at least at
it's a
Bentley,
lot.
I knew how much the workload was at Bentley.
Oh yeah, it's just that first semester. Second semester was like it was much. And again, same thing in regular school. Like the more you do it, the better it is. But then I was starting to take classes on marketing. That was my concentration for my MBA. So once I finally got a taste of like the marketing classes that second semester, I was like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, you kind of a bit more settled in.
Because it was like the first semester is the accounting, the stats, the like the BPM, and I was like, what is this?
It's like the generic. I had to do as an undergrad at Bentley. It's like the accounting, the finance, and I'm
it's
like,
the same.
I can't do this.
Yeah, because at Fordham,
marketing. Beautiful.
Right. I was at Fordham. I was a comm major, but with a marketing minor. Shout out to my dad, because he's like, you need like a business, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't even know if I like business. So I picked the most creative aspect of business, which was the marketing. So once I finally got into those classes, I'm like, oh, I got this. Like I can do this. It's fine. But being a coach, like after games and stuff with us, dude, I felt more exhausted than you guys. I'm like, this is crazy. No, it is because you don't even realize how many different situations you're thinking of. And then you finally get off the field, but then it's like you're still debriefing the game, like with your coaches, like afterwards. You got to think about like the lineup for tomorrow, and then you finally just get to sit down, and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna pass out. Yeah. I was like, I'm embarrassed. I was like, I shouldn't be this tired. I was like, I sat on my little bucket and writing my little things, I was exhausted.
You put a lot into our team, into our practices and our games, and you really, honestly, I think you brought so much to our team without you maybe even realizing, and to the coaching staff. The biggest thing, well, for me personally, zoning, like I learned a lot from you hitting wise, and that elevated my game exponentially. And the other thing, like team aspect wise, that you brought to as a grad coach to our team, was that like team camaraderie almost, and like even like just like having each other's backs, like building that team rapport. Like you brought a lot of the things like that And
the high fives in the line. Yeah,
the
yeah.
high fives,
Yep.
the cheers, the nicknames,
Oh, the cheers.
energy,
Yeah.
everything. Like, granted, we had cheers. We
Yeah.
high-fived each other before you came.
Yeah.
But you just brought such a different perspective on it all that really changed our minds about it. And, like, we
Thank
actually
you.
put thought behind things that we were doing, not just getting a ground ball.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Thank
in my
you.
opinion.
Thank you.
What was
I
your-
did. I loved
yeah.
it. I loved you guys. Like, I loved your group of girls,
Yeah.
like your senior class in particular. I was very fond of.
Yeah.
And I think the age, helps because we're very close in age.
Yeah.
But that was, I resonated a lot with you guys,
It's funny.
for sure.
You came in junior year. You came
Yeah.
in my junior year.
Yeah.
And as your first year grad assisting, your second year was my senior year, and all of a sudden, it was my junior year. We didn't have any seniors, so we were like the
Yeah.
head honchos.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Again, we were head honchos, so I think
Yeah.
that added to our relationship and
For sure.
like the strength that like all of us with you really gelled well, and it was nice.
Yeah.
Last few things on because we've been talking for so long.
Yeah,
I could
no,
go
not
on
us.
with you. What do you take away from being a grad assistant coaching? Like in terms of like what do you feel like you brought to the team, or did you enjoy like really like working with us at the D2 level? Like give me some more insights on what was going on in your head.
Yeah, that makes me very happy, my heart happy. Look at the first grade language. That makes me very happy. Fills my bucket that you say about the camaraderie, because that's the best part about being on a team. Like those are your best buds. Like those are the girls that you're going to miss. Like that's the worst part about leaving is that, all right, now I'm not 2 feet away from my best friend. Like it's so important to build that team camaraderie, even if it's something as silly as you got to have a different high five with every person on this team. You got to have a stupid little handshake with every single person. Every time you get it out, who are you looking at? And doing a little, who is it?
You came in at, like in the fall and you're like, do you guys like not do anything after outs? And we're like, what the frick do you mean do anything? And you're like, you don't like sauce a little something to the right people? They're like, hey, we got 1 out, got 2 outs. Dude, that changed our entire dynamic.
For sure. That's the best stuff.
Like,
yeah.
Okay, going out.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, give us some passion. Give us some something. You
Where's
really
the
made us
pizzazz?
feel the
Yeah.
game.
Where's the pizzazz? Yeah. Just feeling every second for sure. That's the best part with the cheers too. They're so goofy. The beats. Remember when we get in trouble from the umps with a knock it off with the balls, and I'm like, boo. You're like, you're a loser. Oh gosh. Yeah. Nothing better.
We did practice where we like kind of simulated. All right. I remember the day we were figuring out who like. I was like, I went to Kaylee and at third base. Oh, Kaylee, like, okay, got 2 outs.
Yeah.
Like we like made up things at practice. And
that we literally had to practice. I remember we practiced cheers.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is what we're doing
Florida,
today. Yeah. I was like, we're
girls
practicing
made up
cheers.
cheers.
Yeah. We got to practice this. Yeah. It's all the little things that you don't even think about of
really
what makes a
strengthened
team
us.
for sure. Because it's like, if you don't like each other on the field,
what are we doing?
Yeah, like we've gotta make way. And again, that's not to say you have to be best friends with everybody. I think that's very realistic to life. You're not gonna like everybody, and that's okay. But if you're not at least all one with that same mindset, and just trying to have fun, like even if you have beef with somebody, put that aside and just like have fun in the game, like, because at the end of the day, you're playing for that 8-year-old that fell in love with it way back when. Like that's what, right? Like that's who you're playing for. You're playing for those girls that are watching you, that are in the stands. Like, this is what it's like, guys. It's supposed to be fun. Like this. I think that was plot twist, guys. Even though you want to literally like break your bat in half. Just really recentering and being like, no, this is supposed to be, it's a game. Like it is, it's great to have those goals and it's great to work towards that. But at the end of the day, you need to enjoy it. And especially because it ends. It ends. It always ends at some level, whether you stop in high school and college and pro. It's always it always ends.
Any chapter ends.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's got to end. But I'm happy. No, I'm happy you brought up the camaraderie things, because I was going to say that's probably what I brought for you guys. Yeah.
You brought a lot, but that was like very high on the list of what you brought and what I can remember from the day.
Yeah. Oh, crazy.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, what an episode.
We crushed it.
Anything that I might have missed, or you might have missed?
Dude, I don't think so. We nailed everything. I mean, just Bentley and
feels like
BC.
We were really just catching up like yesterday. That's how it always felt with you.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy we were able to sit down today and that you were around when I was coming up here. Just like the stars aligned and
love it.
What a great freaking episode. Madi Shaw, thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me.
Yay. Oh my God, thank you.
You're welcome.